All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the LoudMouth MMA podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Steele. Today, another edition of the Fred and Kyle Show. However, we are joined by a very special guest, a man who, if you have listened to our podcast for a long time, the podcast itself, right, all the episodes that are on LoudMouth MMA, he's going to be a very familiar voice. He does the Fight Companions. But before I introduce him, let's introduce Mr. Fred. Hello, Mr. Fred.
What's happening, brother? How are you doing?
I still love calling you Mr. Fred because I love the idea of you having some fucking filthy PBS show. It's on PBS X or something.
When I open up my podcast now, I start with Mr. Fred James Kirby III. Mm-hmm. I enjoy Mr. Makes me feel prestigious.
Listen, but if you add all the other shit, it is not cool.
I know. Listen,
just say Mr. Fred.
Listen, go fuck yourself, okay? I love the idea that I'm the third.
Excuse me, it's Mr. Go fuck yourself, but that's fine. Also, we should introduce Mr. Zack Eldridge, man.
Guys.
Hello, Zack. We were going to do a Fight Companion last night. So, again, for those of you who don't know, Zack and I do Fight Companions for each card. We've missed the last 2 weeks. Last week, there was snow. And then this week, my wife wound up being on call, and the card started early, so I couldn't get the kids to bed. And
by snow, he means I had an anxiety attack.
No, but I
had to lay in my room in the dark and try not to cry.
You're also not a fan of driving in snow, so I was just going to leave it at that. Because you're not a fan of driving in snow, and
I don't mind driving in snow. What are you talking about? I'm just a crazy person.
That's not true.
I was having an anxiety attack. I love driving.
Listen,
in snow.
if you want to out yourself, that's fine. Listen, I gave you a good out.
I love driving in inclement weather. I've always said that.
I've always said that.
Ask anybody.
I'm hinting just a tiny bit of sarcasm there.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
Hey, Mr. Fred. I had
Mr. Fred.
I instructed Kyle's daughter Harper to only refer to you as Mr. Kirby, and we were having a discussion about Mr. Kirby.
I enjoy this. Yeah. I like this. Makes me feel like a teacher.
Wasn't there a game?
Exactly.
Speaking of, Zack and I have been talking about Super Nintendo all day. Wasn't there a game called Kirby?
Yeah, Kirby in Dreamland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he was
Kirby
like
was my favorite in Super Smash Brothers.
I did
Great
love
character.
that, too. I did love that as well.
Mm-hmm.
The best Super Nintendo game by far, and Zack has never played it, so I'm so excited to try to find it so we can play it together. Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
We're going to do it today.
Oh, I've
never heard of
it. Praise be to the Lord
unto
Jesus.
him.
Praise be unto him. It is a Sunday.
All praise be
him,
unto Xenu.
if we can find it.
Yeah, good luck with that.
All right, today we are going to be discussing, of course, UFC Winnipeg. We are also going to be discussing my favorite person on planet Earth, Colby Covington, and I'm really looking forward to it. In fact, fuck it. Let's just kick off with it.
Let's just get right into it.
What we should do is kick off with UFC Winnipeg, but we're not going to because I have been looking forward to talking about Colby Covington this whole week. And I'm excited that Zack is here to kind of get a little bit of an outsider opinion. Mm-hmm. You and I have never really discussed...
We haven't discussed it, no.
Colby. We haven't really discussed Colby Covington whatsoever. So I'm interested in... So for someone who... How would you describe yourself? Again, there are a lot of people that kind of respect this show, and really don't listen to anything other than this on the network. So this is all they listen to.
Just so you all know, I am somewhere between a casual fan and a diehard fan,
Which
means
weird
I'm
because
basically
you watch,
just a casual fan.
But here's the difference though. You watch every event.
Yeah.
The thing is you had seen basically no events prior to 2015.
Yeah,
That's not bad, though.
I've been watching UFC since the Ronda Rousey Holly Holm fight. That's the first card I watched.
So there you go. So it's interesting. So, but you're not a casual fan. You're just new to the sport.
Hold on. I want to have a little conversation.
Please, Fred.
That is, how old are you? You're around my age, right?
26 or 27.
26, 27.
I don't remember.
Listen,
I was born in 91.
I won't begrudge you that. I just wonder, like, and so you consider yourself a hardcore fan of the sport now, right? I mean, clearly you watch all the events. And
I would, except that I don't remember things. So, when people are like, I don't remember.
But you love the sport, though.
I love it. I fucking love it.
How did you spend so long not getting into the sport? Like, how did you avoid the sport for so long if you inevitably ended up having a love for it?
I don't think he avoided it. I think it's
I did. I grew up in Xenia, and there's a lot of... I associate it with being white trash. White trash people watch UFC, so I had no interest in it.
I would imagine you'd at least seen it on TV or heard about it.
I was
you
like Anderson Silva and Chuck Liddell. I saw all the ads and stuff.
Sure.
I was like, I don't want to associate with those people. That's what I thought when I was...
You know, it's funny. I had a very similar feeling because I also grew up in Xenia.
Yeah.
And
I was like,
also
fuck tap out.
I also felt like white white trash people watch this. I was like, well, I'm not white trash. Even though here's the thing,
Kyle was very white trash.
I was white trash.
Well, back then he was very white trash.
Well, I was going to say, I listen.
And you know what's hilarious about that though is when you start, and don't get me wrong, there is definitely an element of that in MMA. There's
I think fan base has evolved past that though. It's broken into mainstream.
Well, it's
so.
also been about martial arts when you get right to the core of it, and that has nothing to do with any type of dopey white.
But everything's
shitbirds.
about. I mean, especially when you're coming into a sport, it's all about what's the course of public opinion.
Yeah, views and perception.
Well, and especially then, the course of public opinion was, listen, they're walking around like, have you seen an Affliction T-shirt? I mean, like really?
Yeah, but
I mean, really examine what an Affliction T-shirt
a lot of
is.
razzles on there.
I mean, there's shit shining. There's
like a Twilight vampire.
Wings.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
that
a
was
whole thing. And like, whenever you would see someone wearing that in 2001, you'd be like, ooh, like that person beats his wife. Like,
no doubt. And I definitely see how, like, because see, I was a big fan of the sport back then, and I see how, like, from an outside perception, you could see that, and you'd be like, what the fuck? What a bunch of douchebag ass fuck losers. But it's kind of still like that, right? Like once you get into the sport and you're a real fan, and then you see the fucking ass fucks that come to Frickers and they get hammered and go, kick his ass, Seabass. You're like, what a dumbass. Like you. So
I've never encountered someone like that before.
I have.
Oh God,
well,
yeah.
I
have you ever watched a fight like at like B-dubs?
We need to go to B-dubs.
Oh God, yeah, that's when it gets ridiculous.
The CM
we
Punk
watched.
card.
Yeah, Zach and I actually watched the CM Punk card. It was Stipe.
I don't remember.
Was
All I
that
remember is
Stipe over
Mickey
him?
Gall
Over him,
beating the
probably.
fuck out of CM Punk and loving it.
Was that UFC 203? It was the one that was in Cleveland. I just can't remember the exact numbers and shit. But anyway,
I think that was over.
I had fun watching it at B-dubs.
oh yeah, it was. But and there really wasn't, because we watched it at a good B-dubs.
Sure.
Go to the B-dubs that's in like.
We got to go to Roosters and Xenia.
Oh, exactly. Go to the Roosters and Xenia.
Right.
Then you're like, I like how we're making a bunch of references to Xenia.
I think people like that.
Anybody
because
else?
we're giving it perspective.
Listen, if you're not from Ohio, specifically if you're not from Dayton, so you don't know what, quote, Xenia is.
That's true.
Here's the thing. You've heard us talk about Xenia. You know exactly what it is.
Yeah, you get the
Because
vibe.
if you're living in Boston, you're like, oh, yeah, that's Lowell or whatever.
Right.
You know exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
Xenia is fucking Xenia. It's
White trash shitville.
There is
for the
a
most part.
Frickers is a company that started. I don't even know if it's. I don't think it's nationwide, but
No,
it's like
not.
a wing chain. But there's a lot of them now, and it's split into two. It's owned by brothers, and they had a falling out. So one of the brothers opened up what's now called Roosters.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I grew up on
they have
North
a very
Main Street,
similar,
right by the first Roosters that ever opened. I've been going there since I was 8-9 years old.
It's a very similar logo,
Dude.
It's the same recipe.
I've been going to Roosters for 20 years.
I've been going to Roosters for 20 years.
That Roosters is so fucking bad. I shit you not. When I was a fucking kid, it stayed open like a bar. It stayed open until 2:30 in the morning, served drinks and everything. About 10 years ago, they stopped doing that and they started shutting it down at 10 o'clock. Literally, my brother's ex-wife still works there. She just put a post up starting on the 1st of January. They're only staying open until 6 p.m.
Bro.
They do carryouts until 10, but they only stay open until 6 p.m. because the neighborhood is just so shit that after 8 o'clock, it's fucking curtains over there.
Well, it's because when they were open till 2, the amount of money that they were spending, like having to pay the city to remove dead bodies out of the bathroom.
No, that's no bullshit.
No,
they
it's
literally
not.
shut it down because there were so many fights and guns and shit going on. I mean, like literally, I think a couple people got snuffed in the parking lot.
The Taco Bell that's on the corner of Smithville and Waterville.
Yep.
So many people had died in that Taco Bell bathroom from overdoses that they had to fucking renovate the whole thing.
Jesus
they had
Christ.
to renovate the whole thing and just completely like try to change the image.
Yes. You know what they can do to renovate it for me? Burn it the fuck down. I've never taken so much of a piss in a place like that. There's been a bunch of junkies dead in there. Fuck you.
It's nuts. All right, I love this really random conversation we had before. This is like this is making up for our fight companion.
Yeah.
Like we didn't do a fight companion.
Get a little taste of that.
Yeah. So this is kind of how the fight companion. So imagine what we just did right there for 10 minutes for 3 hours.
Except that
that's what a fight companion is.
Except we do call people and talk about fights and shit.
We
like
do.
that.
We do vaguely talk about fighting
Every once in a while.
Every once in a while, Zach will chime in. with a good fight zinger. So describe yourself from fandom, and I want your perspective.
I'm 6 feet tall, slender. I have a bird-like physique.
He does have a very
he actually does kind of look like he'd be my cousin or something. Maybe I was thinking about that first time I seen him, he had the man bun and shit. I'm like, he's a little slimmer than me, but
he does
similar featured.
But it's like if you had a cousin that had all of your worst features.
Like a little skinny little dude. It's like that movie Twins. It was like Arnold and Danny.
He's your Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito was way cooler than Arnold.
Oh my god! By the way, I posted a video. I did a LoudMouth bet this week.
And you always win those things.
And the
I'm starting to think that shit set the fuck up. I think
what do you
Kyle's fucking 10-0 with these LoudMouth bets.
Well, except I did lose the one to Keith.
Who did Josh Emmett beat last night?
Josh Emmett beat Ricardo Lamas.
Yeah,
so we'll get
Kyle's
in
in with Ricardo Lamas on that. Yeah.
No, I was on Josh Emmett.
I'm saying, but you were in with him to make him fall.
Him and I was like, hey man, I got a LoudMouth bet. I need you to make sure to throw this fight.
Can we all agree that was knockout of the night?
Oh yeah,
there were some good knockouts last night, but fuck,
his head bounced off the canvas 3 or 4 times.
That was clean as fuck.
But anyway, what my point was, so I won the bet. So somebody else did a video, and just to be nice, I hopped on. I did my own video, giving a shout out to the group and giving a shout out to him. And I try to do that because it's whatever. I'll get the whole fucking card wrong, and I'll get that one pick right. And then it seems like I'm gloating, even though it's all a joke. Like that's why we do it. So I hopped on, did a video, and I was wearing this sweatshirt I'm wearing now, and I was wearing these like gray sweatpants. And I looked hideous. Like the colors, don't match whatsoever. My hair's all I already have really shitty hair. My hair's all fucked up. Bro, I got roasted. Like, I got roasted on that. My lord. Because everybody also, like, I don't look like I'm 28.
I clicked on the link, and I seen that. I seen one dude in dog years.
I'm 28 in dog years.
I can't lie. I chuckled a little when I seen that line. I'm like, what a dick. It's funny, though.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah,
we have no mutual friends. But anyway,
that's fucking great, though.
So I do love that. I got absolutely roasted on the middle of a...
And I forced my face into the end of the video and stuck my tongue out.
You know what's hilarious about those people, too? Just, fucking side note, Paul's. Who gives a shit, buddy? What are you, a homosexual? Who gives a fuck off? It's a fucking MMA blog. We're talking about fights. I love that shit. That it's like, you're 28, you look like you're 40. What's this, America's Next Top Model?
Listen.
I mean, what are we talking about? Who gives a fuck? This ain't Tinder. Go fuck off.
In England, ugly people are allowed on TV. The internet's just new territory.
You're not helping? Not helping at all.
It's because the problem that I run into. So the more the podcast grows, you start picking up trolls.
Sure,
right? It's a byproduct of you start getting them. It's a byproduct, and I've had a few now who will do public post about me, which is always interesting that people take that time. But here's the thing, though. It's like it's getting a little old because it's literally just that I'm fat and my hairline. That's it.
Right.
I would like someone else to come up with something.
Well, listen.
Give me something else. I need like something else.
If you was trying to be an Instagram model and you posted 30,000 selfies a day, and then people were like, "Bro, shut the fuck up." I get it.
You ain't attractive.
You run an MMA podcast, so. Yeah. When somebody starts saying, "Hey, you don't know shit about fighting and you sound like a fucking idiot," that would sting my feelings.
That would.
Right.
That would.
You talking about my fucking hairline or my beard? Who gives a fuck?
I'm
man?
married with 2 kids. I'm not worried about it.
You're golden.
I'm fine.
It's hilarious that people like throw that. Okay, true. I look old. Haven't heard that one before. That's like calling me Freddy Krueger. Way to get me, buddy.
All right.
And you don't need to worry because you're like, look, I'm married. I'm still getting some butt at the end of the night.
I'm still getting that butt.
That's the best thing about getting married.
Getting that butt.
You can let yourself go. Fucking beard, the hair. You gotta fuck me forever, or you gotta at least legally get divorced to get away from me. So
I'm gonna get that butt regardless.
Yeah.
And you know what, Kyle? I actually think that you're a good-looking man.
Thank you.
I've seen worse.
Can I?
I've definitely seen worse.
I have a story, real quick. So when I was in the Army, it was our like supervisor. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't want to use terms, but basically she was our supervisor.
Me and dude look like the two most non-Army guys.
That's
ever.
why I was like, I don't want to use terminology. But anyway,
doing people in the military, they start using what's the thing where you have a bunch of letters in a row that stand for something? I'm really dumb right now.
What?
The abbreviations. They're like, I took my LCTs, my BRBs. Yeah. Acronyms.
Yeah.
Dude, every time people in the military start talking about, I have no idea.
That's why I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be very
right.
intentional about not using it because I literally was going to use an acronym. Okay, so anyway, she was a huge bitch to everybody in the office except for me. Mm-hmm. And nobody really understood it. I didn't understand it either. I was like, she's so nice to me and she's so fucking mean to everybody else. It was so weird. And like people would comment on it. Very.
Okay. Well, now, I'll do respect. Now it's getting a little weird.
Yeah, and it was very odd. And it was like, are you sleeping with her? I'm like, no, dude, I don't know. I don't get it. She's just really nice to me all the time. So then it was my birthday, and we're in the office. So you have to also know I was pretty low ranking. I didn't go in the military with a degree or anything like that. So I went in low ranking.
Okay.
Private pile.
And in fact, I was, at the time, I was the lowest ranking in my office, right?
Okay. It really was private pile.
Yeah, I was lowest ranking in my office. I was a PFC at the time. Everybody else that I worked with, it was 1E4. Everybody else were sergeants.
Shit.
So, again, nobody understood why she was so nice to me. So I'm celebrating my birthday, and she goes, so how old are you today? Like we're like having a little group celebration, and I said, I must have been 23 probably 23, 24.
I'm way too interested in how the story ends.
Right? And she goes, shut up. How old are you? I'm like 23. She goes, no, let me see your ID. So I gave her the ID, and she goes, oh my God, I thought you were almost 40.
Jesus Christ.
So the reason why she was so nice to me is because she thought I was really, really low rank and like 35, 40. Like I had gone through basic training when I was 35, and she felt sorry for me. That's why she was so nice.
So she's
and
a
then
bitch
from
to you
that moment
So
on,
she thought
she was a bitch to me.
That's great. So she thought she was like a functioning retard.
She basically thought I was just super old and had gone through basics super late in life, like to try to better myself or something. Like, nope, I'm just some 24-year-old kid trying to make it.
While you was lining this up, I'm thinking, does she think he's gay?
Right?
Yeah. She's not mean. She's not mean to
maybe
the
reminds her
gays.
of the brother or something. I'm wondering. I wonder how this is going to end.
No, that was my first encounter of like, oh shit, I look really
a little old.
It just didn't age well, man.
So did you?
But you also, it's not like you were fat when you were in the military.
We got to start totally talking about fights. But were you able to buy?
Maybe.
Were you able to buy like beer and cigarettes?
Oh, dude, that was my job.
Okay, so there you go.
I would buy everybody beer in high school.
I have this theory that everything comes with a plus and a negative, right?
Yeah.
So I bought everybody beer. I was the cool kid, right? I bought everybody beer.
There you
in high
go.
School.
Look, you might be fucking catching the tail.
I was going to buy dip at 15 for everybody.
15 years ago, you was the fucking man. We all needed a guy like you that can actually get the cigarettes and the booze.
The problem was I hit 25, and all of a sudden it's not a commodity anymore. Now I'm just an ugly motherfucker. Yeah, it doesn't last.
People always think you're 15 years closer to death than you actually are.
Yeah, I know, and it's weird. But the thing is, though, I probably am 15 years.
That would be a nice surprise, if not at least like surprise, motherfuckers. I still got another 20 years.
Oh my God, Zack. Colby Covington.
There we go.
He should walk out before his next fight dressed as Darth Vader with the music from Star Wars playing and really take up the whole villain role.
I think that he should...
And hit a child with a lightsaber.
All right.
It's pretty good, actually. You lose the child part, but up to that point, that was pretty good.
Okay, I'm going to say this. Because this is a joke, but now I feel like it's a little bit more serious. I think that Colby Covington should fight RDA. And we'll get to and we're going to recap UFC Winnipeg. RDA, of course, beat Robbie Lawler handedly. 50-45. Beat him every round. Just it looked incredible. I think Colby Covington and RDA should main event a card in Brazil. Mm-hmm. And I think that Colby Covington should come out in... Instead of coming out in blackface,
brown face,
he should come out in Brazilian face.
Yeah, that would piss some people off. Listen, man. Before we went on air, I had just showed Zach that tweet that Colby Covington tweeted last night after the fucking argument.
Make welterweight great again.
Yeah, man.
Oh
and just a bunch of shit still calling them filthy animals. And I tell you what, man,
hilarious.
I don't know.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
It's not racist. It's calling Brazilian people filthy animals is not racist. Brazilian is not a race. It's not racist. Racist is if you said that like brown people or something are filthy animal. Mm-hmm. Like if right now if I said, and I don't remember who I was talking to.
I love hypothetical racism.
But we had a big conversation about this, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't remember who it was, so I'm sorry that I'm not giving you credit because again, it was just a long conversation we had, and somebody else said this to me. But if you said like to somebody in like if you said Chicagoans are filthy animals.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Nobody would accuse you of being racist.
Right.
Okay?
I got you.
Now, if you said black people in Chicago are filthy animals.
Right.
Now that's racist.
Sure.
There's no difference
Brazil's
between
not
Brazilians,
a race.
Brazilians and Chicagoans. It's the same concept.
Sure.
It's just a group of people, and then there's a whole different dichotomy.
What about if I
the
said
United States?
Nigerians are filthy animals? Is that racist? That's a little bit racist.
It feels
right?
like you're getting closer.
Yeah.
Still,
Well,
it's
listen,
not racist.
You can't say that because you're pasty pale white.
Yeah.
So it's definitely racist coming from you.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, though.
But if I was like Obama or somebody that had
we
a
also
little
should
flag
set
in
the
the other
scene.
deck, I could pull it.
We should also set the scene why it's also he's wearing a sheet with holes cut out over his body. So it feels much more racist.
He looks like he's fresh back from a Klan meeting.
Yeah.
My favorite movie is Othello.
That's cute.
Speaking of
Othello was a good movie. I really did like Othello. I did. You know who else I actually like now? And this is going to come as a surprise to anybody who actually
Richard
watches this
Spencer,
show.
Jesus.
Definitely not that guy. He does deserve to be punched.
David Duke. What?
Wow.
Oh, David Allen Coe.
The fucking train is just
Derailed. This is
all
what
the way
happens when I'm on the show.
off the other way.
Right, I'll be serious now.
This has been named the racist hour.
Yeah, no shit. That was the most three
Zack,
racist
Fred, and Kyle.
people
There's
ever.
a lot of famous racists. Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
now we're getting into some sketchy
He
territory.
doesn't like the Jews, though.
He does not a fan.
All right, I'm going to be serious now.
Colby Covington, man. I tell you what, dude. At first, he really rubbed me the wrong way. And it wasn't because of the fucking racist Brazilian shit. I just thought it was corny and cheesy. You know what I'm saying? But, exactly like you were saying before we went fucking on air, Kyle, when the whole boomerang thing happened with Verdum, I slightly started to turn.
And then you thought about it more, and you're this is hilarious.
And you nailed it. When he did the Star Wars thing, I was like, God damn, that's funny. That's pretty good, man. But listen, I'm also not a Star Wars fan, so it was very easy for me to sit back and go, ha, and laugh at everybody.
That's why it's so funny, because
I'm also not a fan.
It's so important to so many people.
Right,
so
they take it.
Literally makes him a villain to so many people.
Right, they take, and I started thinking about like, fuck, that was pretty fucking clever, man. And then the tweet was just the icing on the cake, man. The Trump-esque tweet directed at RDA immediately after his performance. First off, it's the right guy. He's the right nationality. Right time, like I gotta say, man, I'm coming around. Don't get me wrong. And for the record, if they line up RDA versus Colby Covington, I'm going to hate that fight because I want to see both of those dudes get their ass whooped, and somebody ultimately has to win that fucking fight.
Oh, I am so incredibly stoked for that. Like I didn't think there was any possibility of that fight happening, and even if there was, I went Colby Covington will mop the fucking floor with RDA. Right? This is my opinion pre-yesterday. I mean, dude, how quickly recency bias comes into play.
Shit changed after last.
Listen,
the way he handled Robbie Lawler.
I did not
give
RDA. I didn't even give him a puncher's chance of winning. Honestly,
I
couldn't.
Against
Honestly,
Robbie?
didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't give him. I even said
I couldn't believe it was a pick 'em.
Well, do you remember when we were talking, Zach? We were talking earlier, like before all the fight started.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how there's no reason for RDA to lose. And I was like, well, I mean, Lawler is a shot fighter. I mean, at the end of the day, he barely got past Cowboy, and Cowboy's
on his way out.
And it's just like he took so much time off fighting, and there's a reason for that. And
true, RDA is a bit long in the tooth too, as far as it goes.
Well, but it was just like I was kind of setting the scene for why RDA would wind up into the night as a favorite,
kind of countering all of our other thoughts before that, which were anti-RDA.
But at the end of the day, I just really did not give RDA a shot. I thought that all the fights leading up to that were just hand selected, and listen, I'm not backing off of it. I think I'm wrong. I'm not backing off. I'm not going to try to hide the fact that I was completely wrong in RDA in every way imaginable.
I just gotta think, what the fuck is he gonna do against a Tyron or a Stephen Thompson? But here's the thing: he's shocked me against Robbie, so maybe I don't know.
Maybe RDA.
I just have a hard time
Lawler
believing
was
he could
also just a really good opponent, and I didn't realize it.
At some point, you got to stop saying that. I
knew that Safadine and Magny were the perfect opponents. I said it leading up into fight week. The fights went exactly how I imagined. I knew that those I was like, these are setups. They're trying to show that RDA can hang with bigger guys, but these are two guys that have no idea how to be big. So it's irrelevant. You might as well be fighting 145ers in there. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like the size doesn't mean anything. So this was the first fight that I went, okay, this is where this matters now. RDA is not going to be able to keep up with a guy like Lawler. Well, not only did he keep up, And he also showed what we loved about him at 155. That man's cardio
is crazy.
Is unfucking real. It's unreal.
Dude, it was awesome. Just like, dude, what was it? Was it like over a minute that he was throwing that barrage of
it was 26
punches?
Seconds where he just literally didn't let up.
Jesus fucking Christ, I hate technology.
What are you trying to do?
I was trying to find... Can you pull up fucking RDA's fucking record on Shirt Dog?
Well, I'm not going to do it on Shirt Dog because Shirt Dog is the worst website in history.
Okay, well, whatever the fuck.
I will gladly pull it up on Tapology.
There we go. 1,000 apologies. Go back to the beginning of his UFC run for me. Because I'm telling you what, Jack, I've got a fucking major hard-on for RDA and have for a month of Sundays.
All right. He started his UFC career losing back-to-back fights to Jeremy Stevens and Tyson Griffin.
I do remember those.
Okay, he would then go on a 3-fight win streak against Rob Emerson, Kyle Bradley, and Terry Edom. Mm-hmm. He would then lose to Clay Guida, beat George. What was it? How do you pronounce his name? Soteropoulos? Soteropoulos.
Mm-hmm. The Australian character.
He would then lose to T-Bow.
Now, right there. Stop
Losing
it.
to T-Bow. Boom.
Now, listen.
By split decision.
I have always kind of shit-talked RDA. I've always kind of... Yeah, listen, man, I talk a lot of shit about fighters. Most of the time, I'm joking, 98% of the time. I respect all these guys for getting in the cage, and if I throw around steroid accusations and shit, most of the time, I'm just fucking around. Now... Let me pause some of that shit and let me be motherfucking crystal clear and actually serious about this for a minute. I do think after this fight, RDA started juicing.
After
I really
the
do.
Fight?
I do. Because after, if I'm not mistaken, after this, he goes on a fucking run. He's got one loss up there.
When was that? What year was that?
Well, he beats. He goes on a five-fight win streak.
And then he loses to Khabib, and then he doesn't lose again until he loses to Eddie Alvarez.
Yes.
I don't know, man. I just
beat Donald Cerrone twice.
I think his level... I don't think he was the same fighter. I don't think you get that much better, period. Bottom line. I remember watching him in the beginning of the UFC. I know a lot of people will say that he got better. I don't think you get that much better. I just don't. I think... in this landscape where everybody's fucking cheating, don't know how the little prick hasn't got caught. You brought it up last night. For like a minute straight, he threw as hard as he could. Now, I realize that all of these guys are professional athletes, but you get up and fucking swing as hard as you can for about 13 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, and with all the adrenaline pumping, considering the fact that was, the second round?
Well, you even
have a 5-round fight.
Were you listening? Because we watched the fights. We weren't doing a fight companion.
Yeah.
So we were watching the fights, and we were actually listening to commentary, which was
do.
crazy.
I always do.
Well, see, we weren't. We
can't because we can't have the audio on the show to get pulled.
Right.
So it was really cool. But anyway, it was like DC was saying after that round, he goes, I don't care how good your conditioning is. He's completely burnt from that.
You have to be.
And he wasn't.
And he wasn't. Fine. And he came back.
Whooped his ass that next round.
Now, listen, man, maybe he does just have extremely good conditioning. Maybe he did develop some type of power that I just didn't see present in his earlier career.
Guess is
and the aggression. That's another thing. That motherfucker did not have that aggression earlier in his career. Not like that. Maybe something changed for him. Maybe it did. But
a question for you, though.
Doesn't he train with Bisping's guy? Was it Jason? What's the guy's name? Jason
well, he does
Perello
now.
Or?
He does now. He used to be at fucking
MMA Kings.
Yeah, which was with
super hard sparring and shit.
Yeah, but it's also fucking that, a lot of those Brazilians have had a long fucking nasty fucking history with steroids at this point, man.
Yeah.
A lot of those gyms, and I don't know, man. I feel like that dude's gas tank is a little too good. A little too good. He moved up to 70, and he still just doesn't run out of gas ever.
Here's my question, though, is that they've got... How long have they had the golden snitch in the UFC? Like, how is it possible for people to get away with this shit? How is that possible?
I mean, listen.
I don't understand. It's like the most stringent of any professional sport anywhere in the world,
That's true,
right?
but how many times was RDA tested? We don't know. I mean, some people... I also seen a list earlier in the... what the fuck?
What's the longest somebody goes without getting tested?
Well, I seen a list earlier in the week of UFC fighters that haven't been tested at all this year.
Really?
Yeah. There wasn't a lot, but you can't test every fucking guy and girl all the fucking time. We hear these stories about them.
It would cost a shit ton of money.
Well, here's the thing, though. I apologize for mentioning him, but Conor McGregor is like the most tested athlete on the planet. How often are they testing him? He's not even fucking fighting. So why? You think they just test everybody?
I mean, they
certain people might slip through the cracks.
Well, first of all,
and I'm not saying he hasn't been tested. I'm sure he did get tested, but how many times? When? I mean, there are levels.
There's
to
also
this.
no way that it's random because they're testing Conor McGregor so much because
they know how much money
he's the number one name in the sport.
Right.
I mean, they're wanting to make sure that he's.
Listen, Chael's son, and I've heard him talk about it when they They literally, Wanderlei Silva denied taking. He wouldn't refuse to take his
Vanderlei or Keith is going to come at you.
I'm sorry, Wanderlei Silva. They fucking show up in the middle of the night at your place. They show up at your hotel. They show up and they make you piss.
That's what they do.
Well,
yeah, so it is random.
Yeah, well,
you say it's not completely random?
No. That's not random. When them showing up to your house.
Oh, you're talking about them selecting who they're selecting.
They select.
Yeah.
Right. And you could just slip through the cracks. And like I said, I don't know. He very well may have been tested, but
why wouldn't RDA be tested though?
I'm sure he has been. There's no way he wasn't.
Well, right. And I don't know.
But that also doesn't mean that they're not. Listen,
doesn't mean you can't fucking scurvy the test either.
The other thing is the big thing is this is why black markets continue to exist, because if you ban something, the only thing that's changing, you're not stopping steroids from being in the sport. Period.
No.
All that you're doing is making steroids probably more dangerous. Well, because you're finding more unique ways to get them into your system and getting them out of your body quicker.
Well, and at the end of the day,
I inject them in my pee hole.
Take some stones to do that.
I got an eye dropper.
Nothing goes in my pee hole. I might have AIDS. I don't know. I've never been tested for nothing. Nothing's ever going. No.
I've never been tested either. Have you ever been tested, Kyle?
I have not.
I'll just soon die.
Dude, we all are probably STD ridden. And we don't even know it.
I guess I'll figure it out once I get the lesions. I'm not fucking sticking nothing in the tip of my prick, period.
Listen, can we do a special episode of the podcast
where we all get tested?
Where we all get a Q-tip up our pee hole and record a podcast the whole time?
I'll watch you guys.
What if we found out Kyle is on steroids?
No fucking way.
You guys,
that would be devastating.
That's why my hairline's so fucked up.
But listen, I think they can change those things, right? Like, that's why the whole USADA thing gets so fucking weirdy-beardy now. You can buy a supplement, or John Jones' fucking Coke might have been tainted with a little...
kind of with fucking creatine that had something in it.
Yeah, I mean, that seems unlikely, but so, like...
technically possible.
Right, and if I don't know a whole lot about this, I ain't no goddamn chemist, but, like, let's say that the fucking Tyrannobol...
You look like a chemist.
I wish.
You look like a chemist.
A hipster chemist.
I want to describe... He's wearing a lab coat right now, so...
Yeah, from Asia.
Yeah, he's wearing an Asian lab coat, and Zack is wearing a sheet with holes cut out.
We should totally be racist chemists together.
He has geisha face paint on and two samurai swords crossed over his back.
Going way down the racist rabbit hole. But I think...
And two really large buck teeth in the front. Like an old propaganda poster in America from World War II about the Japanese. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
You nailed it with that. I think you can just change slight things, and it changes the chemical compound of that substance, and it don't show up no more. Or, pull one away, add one in, and all of a sudden, instead of it being meth, it's methy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
mean, that's exactly how like
those chemists skirt the lines.
Like Sass and Molly are so close to each other, but it's like a slight I shouldn't be talking about drugs right now.
No, but it's kind of a good.
About drugs,
it's kind of a good point though, right? Because they're so close, but you add or take away. It's like fucking Coke and crack. They're essentially the same thing, except one's got a little baking soda in there.
Yeah, exactly. Just fucking baking soda.
Yeah, and it's just the chemical compound that makes. So I imagine with steroids.
Nancy Reagan.
Clearly. But I imagine with steroids, like you said, on the black market, when you got guys that are putting millions in... This isn't fucking your local shitbird at Gold's Gym trying to get his biceps a little bigger so he can get some trim on Tinder. These are guys that are putting out fucking millions of bucks who want to scurvy these fucking tests. Is scurvy the right word?
No.
I think it's what pirates catch, right?
Yeah.
To skirt... skirt these tests.
I also love the getting some trim.
Yeah.
Which is on Tinder, getting sex on Tinder is getting some trim.
Yeah, some trim.
Is it bad that when you say? Is it bad that when you say?
That's what my dad calls it.
Is it bad that when you say black market, I picture a grocery store in Nigeria?
God damn it!
I'm pretty sure this episode's not going to make the air.
I don't think it's making the air.
Are we still on iTunes?
Here's the thing: I'm the most offensive person in the world.
Well, listen, Fred gives you a run for your money, but most weeks.
He just says cocksucker alive. That's not that bad.
The guy from Seinfeld begs to differ.
Kramer.
Yeah, Kramer thinks you are not the most...
on stage. Oh.
Yeah, he says you're not the most
offensive guy in the world. Well, he's actually a racist, and I'm not actually a racist.
That's true. So listen, I think he's a cheater.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't think you get that much better. The fucker's gas tank never runs out. I don't know, man. And, sometimes you just get a feeling about things and people. Had it about him forever. Finally, when they catch him, I will feel so vindicated. If not, I'm just a liar.
Let me give a full recap of the entire event. Jordan Mean beat Eric Silva in a battle of the who gives a shit. I assume Eric Silva's going to get cut. And there's Jordan Mean could also get cut. Honestly,
Fight the battle.
You know
of
what?
care
Though,
less.
not to spend too much time on that. I know you're trying to break.
I know you're fine.
That's kind of a bummer, though, man. Both of those dudes have
it was perfect matchmaking.
Well, they have extreme amounts of talent.
It was perfect matchmaking.
Eric Silva,
two guys who just did not live up to expectations, and it was whoever loses gets cut.
I just mean like
it was
Jordan,
good matchmaking.
Both of those dudes had so much talent. I remember Eric Silva coming into the UFC and being a goddamn animal, man.
Eric Silva was on he wasn't on juice. He was on juice.
Well, he might have been, but either way.
Have you seen pictures of him?
Yeah, he was big. I don't give a fuck. He didn't win a title.
Yeah, okay.
He was. I thought there was going to be a lot more from him. And Jordan Meehan was kind of one of those guys who's got all the talent in the world, but for some reason he just can't really put it together.
Do you think that MMA's the only, it's the only sport that where steroid accusations are this prevalent? Do you think it's just because they're performing the sport with their shirts off and doing it in their underwear? I think that might be a legit thing because you're literally looking at their body in every way while they're fighting.
What do you mean because of performance enhancing drugs?
Yeah, I'm saying MMA is the only sport where accusations of steroids and other things like that are so prevalent. You don't hear people accusing Tom Brady or offensive linemen in the NFL of doing this.
Well,
I mean, occasionally, but
it's very, very rare that football players get accused of it.
Well, I think
even though they do things athletically that are just batshit crazy.
Yeah,
two schools.
And they don't have the golden snitch in the NFL.
Two schools of thought with that. I think with the NFL and the NBA, they're low key just used to it with the whole thing in baseball.
Probably, yeah.
I think they're just kind of like it's accepted. I mean, look at those fucking guys in the NFL. They're literally superhumans. You're not that big and fucking huge and strong and fast. And
guys
shit
in the MLB look like Kyle though.
Some of them. What the fuck? Some of them. Some of them also look like fucking Cuban Missile Crisis.
I'm getting roasted on here too. Shit,
this is fucking ridiculous, isn't it?
Kyle, I fucking love you. You know that.
But also, MMA, they're fucking hitting each other. You know what I mean? It's literally the objective is to knock the other person out. So I think that we should take steroids a little more seriously. You're not hitting a ball. You're hitting a fucking another human in the head.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, guys, when I get through this UFC Winnipeg thing, we're going to go back to talking about Kobe Covington. We're not
getting off that.
I have a lot more to say.
Should we power through the card right now?
Well, I'm just letting everybody know who's listening. We
back.
will get back to Kobe Covington because there's more to say. Okay, Alessio Di Chirico beat Oluwa Bombose. Whatever, dude. I picked Bombose because I think Di Chirico is the worst fighter in the UFC. So Bombose now is the worst fighter. Di Chirico is now the second worst fighder. So congratulations.
I felt like Homeboy was losing that fight right up until he caught him with that knee.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the problem is that everybody. So Bombose, I felt like should have been the odds-on favorite, right? Everybody who bet on Di Chirico, right? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name right. I don't really care.
Ballpark.
But the reason why they're picking him to win is not how he won. In fact, the fight went nothing. So all the people who were gloating about getting that one right, and then literally people were talking shit to me because I was all in on Bombose. I'm like, guys, the fight literally did not go in any way that you described.
Right.
You said that Bombose was going to gas out and get finished.
Right.
It's not what happened.
Right.
He just took a
fucking
knee to the face.
He didn't gas out whatsoever. Yep. I mean, in fact, he fought
quite frankly
weird fight.
I kind of like that dude.
I swear, Di Chirico will not win any more fights in the UFC.
No. I mean, Bombose. He reminds me of a fighter from Bloodsport.
Bombose is a fucking moron. He has horrible ring IQ. He has horrible cardio.
He's pretty cute, though. Have you seen him?
He's still fun.
He's pretty cute.
I like him.
Stop it. John McDessie beat Abel Trujillo. I think pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I also thought Abel Trujillo was acting like a little bitch at the end of that fight. John McDessie, I agree with you, sir. Nordine Taleb fucking reaped Danny Roberts.
Yep.
Poor Danny Roberts, man, just has not lived up to what he was supposed to.
Sorry, D-Rob.
Chad Laprise, this was probably one of the more surprising ones. Beat Bufando. I mean, it's Bufando or Bufando. He's just a guy who I want to really like. I want to dig him.
He's the cat with the really good striking, right?
Well, the problem is he's only had that was his 8th professional fight, and he's 5-3 now. But as I learned, his 2 of his 3 losses were DQs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he does a lot of crazy shit.
Right.
So he got DQ'd.
Dude, you have to do a lot to get DQ'd in the UFC. You're allowed to grab the cage twice, kick someone in the balls twice, and poke them in the eye twice.
Before they actually
you can grab the cage 10 times before anything happens.
Yeah, it depends on who you got ref in the fight.
Yeah. Julian Marquez choked out Darren Stewart. Pretty good fight, pretty good performance from him. He seems like that's kind of the next guy that I'm getting behind.
Yeah,
he seems like an interesting guy.
Yep.
Jan Blachowicz beat Jared Cannonier.
Man, it was all right. I've seen worse fights.
Who was the Italian that said a bobbity boopy?
Oh, that was Tishirico.
That was funny.
Glover Teixeira. Jesus Christ, Misha Serkinov. What happened? I don't get it.
Yeah.
What's wrong with him?
I don't know, man. I forget where I was talking about it. I was saying that I thought Serkinov might have been a little overrated with his wins.
How he was overrated.
Yeah.
Ponzinibbio beat Mike Perry. I thought Mike Perry showed a lot in that fight. But Ponzinibbio is a monster.
Man, I really wanted Perry to win that fight. I remember watching it in the third round. I'm like, maybe Perry won. And I'm like, wake up, Fred.
Get out of here.
Sometimes I have a real hard time judging fights because I want guys to win. I'm like, well, he's put up a good fight. Like,
the right person won as far as who should have won.
Doubt.
Like even pre-fight should have won. Like
sure.
Mike Perry, he's very, very incomplete.
You know what? Go ahead.
He's just fun.
I like Mike Perry, though. Even with that loss, I still kind of like the way he fights, the way he strikes.
If Mike Perry would have won next season to tough, Mike Perry, Kobe Covington.
Oh, God. I still like Perry Till, but he can count that shit goodbye now. So
yeah, not a chance.
Interesting how you brought up how, like, sometimes when you're watching a fight and somebody's obviously losing, I think, like, maybe that is. But, like, I watched recently from the MMA Freaks or whatever the hell the group is called. Somebody, I was posting that I watched the Nate Diaz Donald Cerrone fight for the first time.
Oh yeah,
and that was a hell of a fight. But Donald Cerrone lost every round, so it was like an ass beating, but it was still a great fucking fight. So sometimes, I can kind of understand why a fight being good but still losing every round, you kind of get that emotion and
yeah, you're like, well, this could maybe go another way. Like he landed a couple good shots,
but then it's over and you go, no.
You start watching the highlight reel and you're like, Mike Perry was getting lit up in that last round, Jack.
I was reading another thing that Kobe Covington just posted.
He's fucking great.
He said, "Hey Brazil, you only have one guy left in the UFC top 10 who can defend your dump of a country.
Yeah.
If he has the testicles to take on the king, and he tagged him up and let him know what the hashtag filthy animals want.
Listen,
I got a division to make great again, and then he made a little like political poster looking thing
Trump-esque
that just says Cubby Covington and then UFC champion, and it looks like it's a political ad.
Yeah.
Listen, that tweet single-handedly brought me around.
Josh Emmett knocked out Ricardo Lamas. We already talked about it. He flatlined him.
Yep.
RDA looked fucking really, really good against and won all 5 rounds. Kobe Covington, let's go.
Yep. That did it. That tweet was I think I like Colby now. Like, I think I've performed a complete 360, and I actually kind of like the dude.
And I love that for the rest of our lives, anytime someone says the boomerang incident, they know what we're talking
about.
They
know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's what I love about Kobe Covington is that the people who it's because I hit a thing.
Kyle's ruining our headphones right now.
There we go.
Yeah, it's better.
It's so funny. The people who will take to Facebook, take to these groups, take to Twitter, and they'll go, no one gives a shit about Kobe Covington. Kobe Covington's a fucking moron. No one cares about him at all. I don't care about him. Nobody cares about him. He's such a stupid piece of shit.
Sounds like you care, bro.
Nobody cares. Who cares about Kobe? Nobody cares. It's like, and like, you care immensely. You literally couldn't care more about Kobe Covington, apparently. And these people have no idea how much he is in their head.
Yeah.
They don't get it. They don't understand how much he's controlling them. They're so emotional. Do you know who's not emotional about all this?
Who?
Kobe Covington. Kobe Covington does not give a shit about what he's saying. Mm-hmm. He's not overthinking it. He's not, this isn't real. He's playing a character.
Yeah.
And then I like how people post, if anyone who thinks that Kobe Covington is playing a character isn't just some asshole, they're fucking like, people are so riled up and they're convinced. Do you really think that Kobe Covington thinks that people that live in Brazil are, quote, filthy animals? You know, why in the world would he think that?
People that hate Kobe Covington remind me of a friend I used to have who he had an anger problem. And sometimes whenever somebody would say, dude, why are you getting so mad? He'd be like, why is everyone telling me I'm getting so angry all the time? It makes me so mad. And he would freak out.
That is how it feels.
Remind me
yeah,
of.
no,
about the
literally.
fact that he was angry.
No, listen, you're not
say
wrong.
that shit all the time.
No, but you're not, like, that is exactly what it is. It's like Yeah, I don't. I'm not going to repeat the analogy. That's a perfect analogy for what's happening. He is so inside people's heads. He's doing such an incredible job, and then they're like, all this talk of like, that Colby's talking himself into a title shot. That doesn't even make any sense. It's this and that. That's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah,
he will get a title shot.
Well, but listen,
and he'll get a title shot
off the
backs of really not doing a whole lot.
In all fairness, though,
he does have a pretty decent little streak here. And he just beat the last guy that lost.
Right. In all fairness, he beat the shit out of Damian Maia without
who just
that
fought for the title.
Who just fought for the title. Without that win, this conversation doesn't hold as much merit. People always love to hate on Conor McGregor, but the reality is the dude won a lot of fights before he lost to Nate Diaz. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing with Conor McGregor, and I know we've talked about this a lot, but I want to isolate this one moment because I don't know if I've ever really like clarified this exact thing. So everybody if you're listening to this and you're like one of those deeply just like hate Conor kind of people, try your hardest to remove that for a moment. Okay, seriously, I'm being dead serious. Remove that hate for a second. Okay. And if you love him, remove the love too. Try to like look at it objectively.
Let's be objective here, boys.
In the biggest moment, right? Everybody doubted Conor McGregor. Go back and look at the betting lines. I mean, Conor McGregor was doubted all the way through to include when he fought Aldo.
Oh yeah. That's when the tides turned.
When he finally fought Aldo, that was okay. He shouldn't have beat Mendez. He did, and this and that. Right? Everybody's doubting him all the way up. Then he fights Aldo in the biggest fight of his entire life. If he doesn't win the fight, nothing else happens from that moment on. His whole existence doesn't spiral into what it is. In the most important fight against a guy who had not lost a fight in a decade. A guy who everybody said that he could not beat. In the biggest moment under the brightest lights on one of the biggest cards, he knocked him out in 13 seconds. So if you think that simply by talking, that's how Conor got to this point, then you don't know what's going on. He didn't get to this point by talking. He got to this point by talking and then backing it up over and over and over and over again. That, and to a lesser extent, but to a similar extent, that is what Colby Covington is doing. Do you know how many people doubted him against Dong Hyun Kim?
No, exactly.
You know how many people doubted him against Dong Hyun Kim? Now it seems stupid. It seems dumb that you would doubt him against Dong Hyun Kim.
You sound like an evangelical guy.
He took him down 12 times. People were like, there's no way he's going to be able to beat this guy.
Well, yeah.
He's such a big
Kim's judo background and
there
whatnot.
Was not a chance. And he not only did he beat him so soundly. He left zero question. Right? A guy like Brian Barberena, there's no guy with that amount of toughness, guy with that wrestling, guy with that base, whatever. Again, took him down 10 times. I mean, it's just, at what point do people stop? He's not talking himself into title fights.
Right.
He's talking, right, which gets people listening.
Right.
Because in order for people to listen, you got to talk.
Winning.
And he's backing it up with his fights.
Right.
Well, his fights are boring. No, they're not. You just don't like it, which is fine. That doesn't make them boring. You just don't like it.
That's true.
Cool. Listen, there is subjective truth. Like no one looks at a sunrise and goes, "That's fucking ugly." Right? There is subjective thing.
Sometimes I hate that. It reminds me about to live another fucking day, and I just don't want to face it anymore.
I knew there was somebody out there that didn't like a sunrise.
Well, but the thing is there really isn't.
Right.
If you showed a sunrise that you believed is beautiful, it's because this is subjective truth. Like no one looks at that and without trying to be ironic says that it's ugly.
Blind people hate when you talk about that shit around them.
That's a fact.
Got him. Yep. Oh my God. I'm gonna say this. Okay. And somebody posted it on the Freaks thing, so I was like, okay, good. I'm not the only one that noticed. Matt Hamill.
Oh God.
Do you know Matt Hamill?
No.
He's deaf.
Okay.
So Matt Hamill.
And he's a swinger.
He's a swinger?
Yeah. He had a big controversy where he had an ad up on Craigslist like 5 or 6 years ago, and it came out. It was him and his old lady looking for a third.
It's hilarious.
A dude.
Oh shit! I like it.
The devil's three-way.
Got him.
Zinger.
The devil's three-way.
You have to satisfy your wife first, and then you go to the four
Devil's
ways.
three-way.
So anyway, Matt Hamill, but he gets sight. He can still kind of talk. He talks like someone who's deaf.
Yeah.
Do not do the
imitation.
Yeah. I was looking at Zack. I'm like, do not do the imitation. You would do the imitation. Please don't.
They talk with a British accent, right?
That's what it
Deaf
is.
people?
Yeah. Deaf people talk with British accents.
Yeah.
That's weird. Everybody, never mind. Okay. So anyway, he's talking. I don't know I don't remember if he was talking or if somebody was like talking for him, like he was signing. I don't remember exactly. But he goes, when he was talking about his career, he goes, what I will always remember is the crowd cheering for me. I was like,
you remember seeing them cheer for you. You probably remember the energy you felt in the room.
The vibrations on the floor.
You don't remember hearing them cheer for you.
Maybe he's not completely deaf.
I picture him looking at the crowd and like cheering in the old days. People have their fists together above their head and they shake with their arms together. This is a visual joke. You guys don't get that.
But the sound he's hearing is. There you go.
It's that.
Do you like that?
Matt Hamill used to be a beast though for a while.
Yeah,
he was a good fighter.
Listen, beat John Jones.
That's true.
He beat John Jones
by laying on his back and taking a beating. Getting elbowed in his fucking face.
By getting elbowed to the
12-6 and shit.
Oh my god. What a dumb fucking rule.
Thunderstriking, dude.
Still by far the dumbest rule in MMA, and it's really not even close.
Before we get off of your Conor thing, just quickly though, I wanted to add one point to that. It's weird that you say that because I think that's kind of true with Conor. I think that in the future we will look back at Conor and he will be obviously most highly praised for his shit talk, which, you know, I guess you could make the argument that he should, but he was a really good fighter too.
He went through the UFC, and until he fought Nate Diaz, he did not lose a fight, first of all,
right,
and won every single fight with the exception of one by finish.
And that guy is now the king at 45, so that is perspective is important on that. The one dude he didn't get a finish against, but he still dominated.
The two guys where they're having arguments about who's the GOAT or not, Holloway and Aldo, he beat both.
Yeah, right.
So,
right. And he did beat
one of which he beat in 13 seconds. The other one he beat handedly
on a bum leg.
So it's like, and took him down 6 times in the fight, which is not what Conor does.
That's what I was going to say. Is you know, when he beat Max, and granted that was a long time ago, but it wasn't really close.
If they fought again, it's a whole different fight.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, thing is what it is. So I think it's ironic and almost a little sad that when people look back on Conor's career, he'll probably get a lot of praise for the shit talk and the getting the Mayweather fight and kind of transcending the sport.
Do you think it's going to get old eventually, though? Because everybody's trying to know Colby Covington and other people. Do you think it's going to get really fucking old eventually?
I mean, it already is old. Everything's kind of played out and replayed out.
I think it's Tito cool, Ortiz, but I ultimately, it's like, I kind of...
Chael Sonnen was the Conor McGregor before, and then Tito Ortiz was there's always been them. It just depends on how guys bring it. If you bring a new flair to it, it'll always stay kind of interesting.
But, so, to kind of revert back to Colby Covington here, I mean... he has used...
God, you really want to suck that guy's dick, don't you?
No, I want people to just... I guess it doesn't matter, because if everybody understood what was going on, then there'd be no point for the shtick.
Yeah, true.
So I guess at the end of the day, whether people understand... But I want people in my friend circle and people who listen to my show, I want to have like some informed fans.
You want to educate us.
I want you, if you're listening to the show and you're one of those people that hates Colby Covington... Like, just please just stop and think about it for a second. Because I'm telling you, you're overreacting and you're not seeing what's happening and you're taking shit way too serious. If you hate Colby Covington, you're taking shit so seriously. You know, and you just need to stop.
The problem with those people they're like Trump supporters. Like they're not going to.
You're not going to be objective.
They are going to get fucking offended by shit that Colby Covington does. Like if any Brazilians happen to listen to this, they're probably thinking, "Fuck you, motherfucker! You're American." Easy for you to say, "Don't be offended by him calling you filthy animals" and all your racist bullshit back then. We're a Brazilian and he's talking fucking yin yang. And we're respectable people.
When you're also
blah, blah,
referring
blah.
to like social justice warriors too, it's a similar concept.
Sure.
Just getting offended by everything.
Yeah, there are going to be people out there. And regardless, I mean, I think some people probably know he's probably full of shit, but you know, some people just love to be offended. Man, they search Twitter for something to get offended about.
Do you know how you know that he's not that he is full of shit?
How do you know that he's not full of
smart?
shit?
No, how you know that he's full of shit?
Oh, he is full of shit. Yes,
that he is full. Of course, that none of this is real. That he doesn't actually think people are filthy animals. If he truly felt that way, he wouldn't say it.
Right.
If he truly felt that Brazilians were filthy animals, he would not say it because he would lose his job in the UFC.
Sure.
The only reason why he hasn't lost his job is because everybody knows it's not. Everybody who matters knows he's not being serious.
Sure.
Right, and that's what matters. If people in the UFC truly felt he was being serious,
You could,
he would have been taken care of.
Man, on this point in general, you're kind of a moron if you don't think he's if you think he's serious.
Zach just choked on his words. What were you about to say?
No, the reason I didn't say it. All right, go ahead. Trust me.
Trust you? Okay.
That threw me off. What are we talking about?
I don't know. It's because
now I want to know. Goddammit.
He started to talk to the microphone and he went, and he closed his mouth, and then it literally looked like he grabbed the words off of the microphone, shoved them back in his mouth.
Nope, we're not gonna do that.
It was a crazy visual. I really want you just to say it.
You'll thank me, Kyle. Trust me.
Oh, okay.
Fair enough.
Let's carry on.
Yeah.
I trust you, Zach.
You're supposed to run a respectable show,
I
Kyle.
trust the fact that you are such a piece of shit
that it would be something
that whatever you were going to say was so...
Is it just because it's Sunday and it's not even noon and I've already drank 2 beers? Is that why I'm a piece of shit?
Well, listen,
that doesn't help.
There's plenty. Doesn't help.
To be honest with you, that does not add to the good list.
Is that all we got?
I think so. What else happened?
Give me your full-bodied opinion of Colby Covington.
I mean, listen, I used to fucking think he was cheesy and corny. I was never particularly offended by that shit. But
you were just like, this isn't going to work.
I thought it was a weak version of Chell. You know?
I did too.
When he first did it, but
I never hated him for anything, but I definitely was like, this isn't going to last.
Well, I think when it changed was the Star Wars thing, like you said, man. So that was clever. That was clever, man.
I think it changed
and it had
by
nothing to do with Brazilians or MMA. It showed that he was thinking outside the box and really trying to. He probably made some new fans. And I know that sounds ironic, but how many people probably caught that tweet and went, what the fuck is a Colby Covington? And then went through and figured out that he's a bit of a cunt in his own universe and is like, I wouldn't mind. Oh, he's a fighter? So I can actually watch this piece of shit get the fuck beat out of him, maybe? When's his next fight coming up? I mean, I bet you it probably worked for some people.
I got a message from my buddy LK that runs the wrestling page. He was so mad. He's like, what a fuck, he's a huge wrestling fan.
Dude, wrestling fans love Star Wars, by the way. The Venn diagram, 99% overlap.
Wrestling fans, yeah. Yes. No, he's like, what a piece of shit for doing this. And he goes, he hated it. And he's like, but I'm definitely watching his next fight because I want to see him lose.
Well, no, at this point, you can't miss it.
No.
I mean, even that's what I mean. Even if you're a Star Wars
fan.
When
he fights again, people are going to be clamoring.
I think I got one more important point about Colby Covington, and that is
on a scale of 1 to racist, where are you about to go?
No, it's completely reasonable. 1? Yeah, 1 or 0.75.
Okay.
Oh shit.
I think that
a little less than 1.
What Colby Covington, what he's doing, would not work if people weren't losing their minds over it. So I think he has.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He has to thank those people just as much as we have to realize he's being intelligent.
Well, and that's kind of what my point was earlier, which is you can't have everyone understand it, because if everyone understands it and everyone gets it, then the thing doesn't work anyway. So I guess
we wouldn't like him if we didn't see the
if
people
it wasn't
that hate him.
The reason why I like him,
I get to be in Group B, which is against those people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's such a good point.
Yeah,
because I guess on some level, if you're getting mad about other people being mad, then you're just as stupid.
I think that's why I finally turned the coin a little bit. Enough people hate him now that I'm like, I'll go over to the other side. I think I'm gonna start liking him now.
Well, look at these people. You
get he pissed off the whole Star Wars community. I'm like,
you get to laugh at him.
I can think that. That's pretty good, man. And like I said, it's actually kind of, I don't want to go too crazy with the praise for Cody here. I'm not fucking Kyle, but it is kind of ingenious, man.
Kyle is salivating.
It puts his name, what was bigger than fucking Star Wars coming out, right? Quite frankly, for the record, I've never seen 2 minutes of Star Wars, so I couldn't give 2 shits about it. But I do realize it is a cultural fucking big
You and
deal.
I should do a Star Wars companion, because I have also never seen Star Wars.
Really, that would be interesting, because
I've never seen Star Wars.
Yeah, nothing.
You know what's bigger than Star Wars? League of Legends.
Yeah, I think
past couple of years,
I think that's debatable.
Beat the Super Bowl in views. More people watch the League of Legends championships than. I'm sorry, I changed the subject.
Wait a minute, are you being serious?
Are you being serious?
Oh yeah,
I thought you were totally joking.
No.
What the fuck is League of Legends?
Football. Well, listen,
it's a free to play game that's it's an American made game, but it's fucking huge. And the South Koreans are like juggernauts.
Again, as we talked about, I guess we didn't talk about it. I don't remember when I was talking about this. It was on a podcast though. But football's not global.
Yep.
Right.
League
of Legends is global.
Football's not really global.
I hate to change the tone of the conversation so much, but that's an example of something that is really immensely popular, and you don't even know what the fuck it is.
Right.
That's cool that shit like that exists.
That's true.
I love that shit.
I had no idea.
It pulls in 1 billion eyeballs, and you don't even know what it is.
Just people playing fucking video games.
Right. But
that to me is Bitcoin, where people just genuinely don't understand it.
Yeah.
And what they don't realize is that there are literally 1 billion people who support it and buy into it. And I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
But just because you haven't heard of it or don't understand it doesn't mean that the technology is not going to exist on its own.
You know what I love about Bitcoin? Bitcoin is one of those conversations where every person you talk to about it thinks they know everything about it.
Yeah.
And so, like, you talk, and you're like, oh, no, man, don't be confused by that. The whole market's about to crash. Or they're like, fucking, hey, man, invest your new Porsche. Like, everybody thinks they got the new fucking line on exactly what you should do with Bitcoin.
Nope. My suggestion is buy little bits at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the smartest thing to do, right?
Buy little bits at a time. And
buy a tiny bit, see what happens.
And if you see it start dipping, maybe buy a little bit more. But,
I say buy high, sell low.
Don't throw caution to the wind. And
I kind of like the idea of just not selling. Fuck it.
Hold on.
Buy a little bit and, like, forget it's there. Hopefully I wake up 3 years from now, like, what was that prick that fucking went to the cave and slept on his old lady for 10 years? Rip Van Winkle? Was that the story? Hopefully I pull one of those numbers. Just fucking wake up and I'm rich.
Oh, my God.
I had no idea what he was talking about. I loved it. That's a perfect place to end the podcast, by the way. How funny.
Talking about Rip Van Winkle, Jack.
When he said, who's that prick? And I'm like trying to think of who he's talking about. He goes, when the cave slept, he goes, Rip Van Winkle? It's like, oh my God, he's referencing like a fairy tale.
Yeah, that would be my idea with Bitcoin is I just wake up 3 years from now and they're like, oh yeah, Fred, you're rich now.
There you go.
Bitcoin shot through the roof, yeah.
All right, guys, is there anything you guys else want to add before we go?
What we don't got no UFC next weekend, right?
No, not for the next
Christmas
2 weeks.
Weekend.
I think the next fight card is
the big one, right?
UFC 219.
Just quickly before we wrap up, Cyborg or Holly?
Here, give me 1 second. First of all, I'm going Holly, but
I know you're going Holly. Who do you like? Do you like Cyborg?
I want Holly to win so bad, but I look at it as though it's a pick'em. I think people are underestimating Holly or overestimating.
I think
Cyborg.
I'm in that group, man. And listen, for the record, I hope to Christ Holly wins, but I just
Well, I think people are overestimating, or I think people are underestimating
Holly.
Excuse me. They're underestimating that, like, just because Holly is not very good doesn't mean that when you're faced with the perfect stylistic matchup, you're not going to be able to prevail.
It's an incredible counter-striker versus a really aggressive fighter.
But do you really think it's the perfect
I really
matchup?
do think it is. I think the more aggressive she gets, the more that Holmes sidesteps, punches her in the side of her dome. I think there's a real chance she catches her behind the ear, drops her. I mean, I'm telling you, like, in order for Holly to do those things and be successful, she needs that. What's going to happen is she's going to thunder rush her up against the cage. She's going to sidestep, catch her, and keep doing that kind of thing.
It's also possible that, Cyborg actually did fight a little more intelligently in her last fight. Her last opponent was not that great, but she didn't go out and try to thunder fuck her in the first round. I mean, she took it to the third round, right?
I think this fight, I'm picking Cyborg, but I think this fight comes down to where Holly is at mentally. Because I do agree with you. Holly has had a strange UFC career for me because I feel like she's got all the talent in the world. She showed it in the Ronda fight. She showed, flashes of her brilliance.
She should have beat Durandamine. That was a bad decision.
But then she's got other fights where it's kind of like she just can't pull the trigger or something. Like it just feels like she's not there mentally.
Miesha Tate's losing the whole fight and then chokes her out.
Yeah. And then,
interesting.
What's the fucking the bullet broad? Fucking Shevchenko. Did Shevchenko beat her too?
I don't know.
I think so.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I think she lost another fight. I think she lost a fight after the Miesha Tate fight, if I'm not mistaken.
It wasn't against Shevchenko.
It was
GDR.
Yeah, it was Durandamine.
She lost to Durandamine.
Pull her up. Can we pull her up, please?
Yeah.
That was Rotterdam when we watched that card at 6 in the morning.
She lost
Kyle.
to somebody else.
Oh, it was Shevchenko.
I thought so.
She did lose to Shevchenko.
When was that?
But Shevchenko is a what?
A 25er.
No, she's a what's her style?
A striker.
Counter.
Yeah.
She's counter striker.
Yeah, that's true.
Counter striker versus counter striker.
That's true.
Then it just becomes.
I hate when I'm talking to Kyle and he goes, and she is a what? And he expects me to say, I'm like, dude, you're making me look bad, you fucker.
Jermaine Durandamine.
Polish?
Jermaine Durandamine is a what? What style?
Counter striker, a little bit more passive. Yeah,
so she lost to two counter strikers. And Miesha Tate, she was beating the fuck out of her until the fifth round.
Yeah, that's kind of Miesha Tate's MO, too.
And Frank was a Jew.
Jesus.
There's nothing wrong with that. She was.
Listen, she beat Ronda Rousey because Ronda Rousey kept moving forward and tried to strike with her.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I do think she's got the talent to do it. I wonder if her head's in the right space. If she's on point, Holly Holm definitely has the
I
talent
also,
to be Cyborg.
the other thing is I truly believe that Cyborg's weight cut is going to, this will be the biggest issue it's been up to this point. Every time she cuts weight, it becomes a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger issue. And this time, it's going to be the biggest issue so far.
I'll give you this. I have always said this, and I do stick by it. I think that Cyborg is probably the most overrated fighter of all time. I think this is probably by far her biggest test. And look at me sounding like a dumbass picking her. But I could see what you're saying. Because I could see Holly coming out and completely outclassing her and just kind of being like, oh, okay, so this is what happens when you actually fight somebody else that knows how to fucking fight.
Well, Kyle, who would be the most likely person to beat her?
Beat Holm?
No,
to beat Cyborg?
Yes.
Holly Holm.
Exactly.
I think Holly Holm is like the most likely person in that, like anyone you're going to get over to 145 that you currently have access to.
Yep.
Holly Holm makes the most sense.
That is true.
She's a similar size. She's very strong. She has a strong base. She's fought at 145 before, and she's a counter striker. I mean, I think like that's as good as you're going to get as far as like someone who can match up.
That's a pretty good point, man.
That doesn't mean, listen, Cyborg, for all intents and purposes, should win. She's going to,
right.
And I hate to use this terminology because people fucking overuse it, and the hate that's on Cyborg, I think, is misogynistic and ridiculous and sexist and all sorts of shit.
Guilty.
But I'll use the terminology. She should manhandle her. I mean, she's going to be so much stronger, and she's so aggressive. She's so powerful because of that strength. But she also looks like shit. Like her technique looks like it's out the window.
Well, it's almost like you don't need it either. It's like it's like a guy that's got a really big snake. Usually sucks at fucking because he's got a big cock, right? Like he doesn't need it. He just fucking pounds it in there. So
just in case you were wondering, that was
my fist. That was my fist smacking my hand.
To show bad sex.
Cyborg don't need technique because if she fucking barely clips you on the back of the ear, she's got so much power that she fucking.
Do we know that she has bad technique for sure, or is she just always aggressive and wins?
No, that's the thing. It's like
it's a question mark, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you look at
both, probably.
If you look at stats, Cyborg is one of the more accurate fighters in the UFC.
Fair,
yeah.
But
when you watch her fight,
but who the fuck has she fought in the UFC?
That's true. Who she fought fucking period, man. Not to shit on her record, but like I always say this, her record is spotty at best, and I realize there's not a lot of girls at 45.
I mean, here are her UFC fights: Leslie Smith, Lena Landsberg, and Tanya Evinger.
Oh my god, I almost just fucking puked in my throat. I mean, I love all those girls. I mean, they're all Tanya Evinger's a dope chick personally, but like
Leslie Smith first round, Lena Landsberg second round, Tanya Evinger third round.
I mean, listen,
noticing the trend,
bro. Those names. Is it
really that shocking?
Has any female fighter had a easier 3 fights in the UFC? No, I'm being serious right now. Like, look at broads that came in at 35. Fucking not to shit on those girls.
Leslie Smith came into the fight 8-6-1.
It's like only women that know no one.
Lena Landsberg came into the fight 6-1. However, Lena Landsberg just fought at 125.
Right, and I mean,
and she took that fight at 140.
Who does she got fucking W's against? All due respect to fucking Lena Landsberg.
No. It was not at
Cyborg
125. My apologies.
140?
It was at 135. It was at 145. Her first 2 UFC fights were at 140.
140, okay.
Which, listen, she was able to win those fights by finish, and if you think she has a hard time cutting to 145, getting to 141 was
horrible.
She about killed herself.
Right.
So, but I think that also made it to where now cutting to 145 is that much harder because she really hurt her body.
Right.
So I just think that weight cut's going to keep getting harder, and now this is her toughest test, and you're telling me she's going to be even more depleted than she probably normally is?
Yeah, maybe you might be onto something, man. You might be onto something.
I'm really fucking excited about it either way. I will not be surprised if Holly Holm goes out and gets murked. But I'm so excited to watch.
If Cyborg knocks her out like in 2 McGregors, right? Knocks her out in 26 seconds. I'm not shocked.
Yeah.
But
true.
I just this is a really good. Like, there's a reason why Holly's taking this fight.
Yeah. Yep.
By the way, I fucking love Holly Holm.
I'm indifferent. I don't really care.
I love her.
I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't really care who wins.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not like the biggest Holly Holm fan in the world.
I don't
find her to be a very good fighter.
She headlined the main event of the first card I watched, and she was
that's
upset her.
You have a special connection
that
with
was
her.
really cool. Like, it's really cool seeing her.
I don't love Holly Holm.
Didn't fucking tap out to Misha choking her out, man.
No,
Just went out punching.
That's true.
Fucking shadowboxing.
Went out shadowboxing the air.
I just would like to see Cyborg. I tell you what, all bullshit aside, all jokes aside, I want to see Cyborg get tested.
Yeah.
I don't really want to see Cyborg get the first round knockout. I want to see them exchange a little.
I want to see Cyborg win a 5-round decision where she loses 2 rounds.
I don't even care about that. I would just want to see it go like 3 or 4 rounds and Cyborg bleed a little. Like I'm down. I hope somebody gets a finish.
That's what I hope. So
we need to know that even a God King can bleed. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
God
or just that she could be hurt and then and she could come back
from adversity and shit. Like I want to see it, man. On a high level.
That's a whole different.
On a high level.
BJ
on a high level.
I've stated on every podcast I've ever been on, BJ Penn is my favorite fighter of all time. But I will even admit, being a BJ nut hugger, he was a front runner. When he was doing good, he was going to fuck you up. But if it didn't go his way and that second, third round started going a little dicey, BJ got very fucking negative and started really giving in on the fights at that point. So you don't really know how great you are until you fight people that push you a little bit, especially if you're super talented. If you just go in and you're fucking blowing the doors off of people, when you first get tested a little bit, that's fucking, we find out right then what you're really doing.
I think that we like to find out what a fighter's ceiling and floor are, and until someone loses, you have no idea what their ceiling is.
Exactly.
The other big fight in this card, of course, and let's talk about it, the other big fight in this card is Khabib versus Barboza. Let's assume that fight goes off without a hitch.
No shit. That's the big assumption is Khabib actually make it to the goddamn fight.
Let's assume the fight goes on without a hitch. Fred, who wins?
Khabib all day. I mean, I've been a big Khabib nut hugger for a long time too, so it's a great fight. Barboza could very well win. Khabib got tagged against Michael Johnson. You could make the argument that if Barboza tags him like that, it'll be a different fight. Barboza's got nasty leg kicks, which could play a fucking a part in this. But listen, the cocksucker's undefeated. His grappling is nasty. I cannot in good faith pick Barboza to win. He could, but I mean, smart money's on Khabib.
I can in good faith pick Barboza. Why am I going Barboza and home? I am, though. I think the more that... Listen, the home I don't think is subject to change. I think my opinion at this point, I've watched everything of Cyborg at this point, just about. I've obviously watched all the UFC shit in real time.
Right.
But I've gone back and also watched the Invicta shit. I think the way that I feel about the fight really isn't going to change. This fight, Barboza Khabib, whatever. You got to listen to the breakdown the week of because I really don't know where I stand. But as of right now, as of this very second, I'm not just trying to be cute. I really think that Barboza wins.
He could. I mean, we Khabib has been very inactive, man. So
He's been inactive. He has been, outside of like 1 or 2 victories, really has not fought anybody, man. And when you finally went in there with like a really heavy fucking striker, you get knocked down. I mean,
right.
And I think there's a real possibility that Barboza gets a nasty finish over Khabib.
Maybe. I don't really see that, but I mean, listen.
His takedowns are so awkward that when he goes to do them, if you can get someone who is a supreme athlete to just step aside and axe kick your fucking chin off,
I mean, look at Aljamain Sterling, right? It could absolutely happen like that. Barboza's explosive as fuck. I don't think it will, but I mean...
The other thing is if you can control distance with leg kicks and stuff, you might stop those leg kicks or might stop those takedowns from really ever...
But there's two sides. That a leg kick gets you taken down like that.
The other thing is the other thing is no one's been able to stop it.
So
what makes you think that you're going to be the guy?
Exactly. But
that's why I don't know this fight. I don't have a real solid opinion on it.
And I mean, obviously, everybody's going to have a solid opinion on everything. But especially with these 2 fights right here, what people kill me are the people that swear, like, if Cyborg's going to kill her. You don't know that, man. There's no way. Yeah. Like, even Khabib, I'm pretty sure Khabib can win, but if you think that Barboza couldn't come out and fucking spinning heel kick Khabib right beside his fucking dome, you are out of your mind.
Yeah.
Anything could happen with
Zack,
those 2
anything
fights.
you want to leave the podcast with?
Who are you picking in the Khabib fight? I don't think you said, did you? Barboza or Khabib?
I think Khabib. I haven't been listening to you guys talk for the past 2 minutes. I zoned out and I was thinking about Super Nintendo games.
Which
I'm about to go to Second and Charles.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're going to hop off and we're going to go see if they have the game there. Cool. So, guys, we appreciate you joining us. No theme music in the beginning, no theme music at the end, because I still have not gotten my fucking cable. I don't know why. I just need to go pick it up and get it over with.
I would like to remind all of you that I am at Zack Hazard on Twitter, and you should follow me because I'm super awesome.
at Kirby_MMA, KIRBY_MMA.
Anyone who spelled it with a C, you're
Serby.
Dead to me.
That's true.
You're
That's
dead
true.
to me.
People are
The
retards,
same
though.
people that hate Colby Covington.
Yeah, Colby with a K. You can find the podcast Loudmouth MMA anywhere you listen to a podcast. Also on iTunes, Loudmouth MMA. Same thing on Facebook. Just type in Loudmouth MMA. Loudmouth, one word, MMA obviously the second word, and you should be able to find it. So there you go. That's it. Let's get the fuck out of here.